The Arquitens-class Light Cruiser was a versatile warship designed to serve as an escort vessel, patrol craft, and support ship within the Republic and later Imperial Navy. It was equipped with a balanced but effective arsenal that allowed it to engage enemy starfighters and smaller capital ships while maintaining speed and maneuverability. The primary armament of the light cruiser consisted of 4 turret-mounted twin light turbo laser batteries. These were strategically positioned to provide maximum coverage, allowing the ship to fire on enemy targets regardless of their attack angle. Each of these turrets was capable of independent targeting, with an efficient fire control system that allowed them to track fast-moving ships. However, the effectiveness of these turbo lasers was primarily limited by their classification as light weapons, making them insufficient to pose a significant threat to larger capital ships. Their power output was optimized for engaging enemy corvettes, gunships, and starfighters, while still being effective in a supporting role against larger warships when operating within a fleet formation. These turrets were mounted in such a way that they allowed the Arquitens to engage in broadside combat, taking advantage of the ship's maneuverability to present its strongest firepower in a single pass. In addition to its turbo lasers, the Arquitens-class Light Cruiser was equipped with 4 heavy quad laser cannon batteries, positioned along the port and starboard sides of the ship. These weapons significantly enhanced the vessel's ability to engage smaller, more agile enemy craft such as starfighters and bombers. Their high rate of fire made them particularly effective at intercepting incoming threats, providing a defensive screen against enemy attack runs. The quad laser batteries could also be used in an offensive capacity against enemy corvettes, although their effectiveness in such engagements was generally limited due to their shorter range and lower armor penetration. These batteries were particularly valuable in situations where the Arquitens found itself under attack by multiple smaller craft, as their rapid fire could create a devastating field of suppression. For additional firepower, the Arquitens-class Light Cruiser was fitted with 4 missile or torpedo launchers, typically armed with concussion missiles. These weapons were designed to deliver a powerful punch against enemy ships, compensating for the relative lack of raw firepower from the ship's turbo lasers. Concussion missiles provided the Arquitens with a means of engaging heavily armored targets, allowing it to punch through shielding and deliver damage to enemy hulls. While the launchers lacked the rate of fire of the ship's turbo lasers or quad laser batteries, they were a crucial component of the Arquitens' arsenal, giving it the ability to deliver concentrated bursts of firepower in key moments of battle. These missiles were particularly effective in situations where the Arquitens was engaging enemy corvettes or transports, as a well-placed missile barrage could cripple an enemy vessel before it had the chance to retaliate. Additionally, the concussion missiles could be used in fleet engagements, providing support against larger enemy ships that the Arquitens itself would struggle to damage with its standard turbo lasers. The targeting systems aboard the Arquitens-class Light Cruiser were designed for both manual and automated operation, allowing for a degree of flexibility in combat. The ship's fire control computers provided efficient tracking of enemy craft, though they were not as advanced as those found on larger star destroyers. The turbo lasers and quad laser batteries could track moving targets at moderate speeds, with decent aiming speed that allowed the ship to respond quickly to threats. However, these systems were still limited by the overall size and power of the vessel, meaning that while the Arquitens was effective in small-scale battles, it lacked the precision and reaction time of larger command vessels. The ship's rate of fire varied depending on the weapon system in question. The quad laser batteries had the highest rate of fire, capable of delivering sustained bursts to keep enemy fighters at bay. The twin turbo laser batteries, while not as rapid firing, had a relatively quick recharge rate compared to heavier turbo lasers found on larger ships. The concussion missile launchers had the slowest rate of fire due to the need for reloading between salvos, but their high damage output made them a valuable tool in battle. In terms of heat management, the ship was designed with adequate cooling systems to handle prolonged engagements, though it was not suited for extended battles without periods of cooldown. In situations where sustained fire was required, the Arquitens could experience a decrease in overall efficiency, as its weapon systems required time to dissipate heat buildup. In terms of tactical deployment, The Arquitens-class Light Cruiser was often used as a patrol vessel, escorting convoys and larger ships. It was capable of independent operations but was at its most effective when working in coordination with other Imperial vessels. Its hangar capacity was limited, typically carrying only 3 TIE fighters. This provided some degree of starfighter support, but not enough to make the ship self-sufficient in fleet combat. These TIEs were primarily used for reconnaissance, intercepting enemy craft, or providing a limited defensive screen. The Arquitens-class command cruiser was an evolution of the light cruiser, featuring extensive upgrades to its weaponry, targeting systems, and overall combat effectiveness. This variant was intended to serve as a command ship for small fleet operations, and was designed with increased firepower and tactical versatility. Like its predecessor, it was equipped with 4 turret-mounted twin light turbolaser batteries, but these had been upgraded with improved cooling systems and energy cycling, allowing them to fire for longer durations without overheating. This improvement significantly enhanced the ship's ability to engage in prolonged engagements, giving it an edge in sustained combat scenarios. These turbo lasers retained the same independent targeting capabilities but were now able to track targets with greater precision due to advancements in fire control systems. The command cruiser featured a vastly improved secondary weapons array, consisting of 8 quad laser batteries, twice the number found on the standard Arquitens-class Light Cruiser. This expansion of firepower made the command cruiser much more formidable against enemy starfighters and bombers, allowing it to effectively counter small, fast-moving targets. The increased number of quad laser batteries ensured that the command cruiser could create a highly effective defensive perimeter, making it difficult for enemy strike craft to penetrate its defenses. This upgrade was particularly important given the growing reliance on starfighter assaults by rebel forces, making the command cruiser far more suited to frontline engagements. The 4 concussion missile launchers remained a key component of the ship's armament, but they were now enhanced with improved tracking and targeting capabilities. The new targeting systems allowed for more accurate missile strikes, increasing the likelihood of direct hits on enemy ships. The missile launchers also benefited from faster reload cycles, reducing downtime between salvos and making the ship more effective in rapid strike engagements. These improvements ensured that the command cruiser retained its ability to engage larger enemy ships despite the relatively light classification of its main turbo laser batteries. One of the most significant additions of the command cruiser was the inclusion of a medium tractor beam projector. This system provided the ship with the ability to lock onto and immobilize smaller vessels, preventing them from escaping. This was particularly useful in situations where the ship was used to intercept rebel craft attempting to flee an engagement. The tractor beam projector added a new tactical dimension to the command cruiser's capabilities, allowing it to disrupt enemy maneuvers and force engagements on its own terms. The command cruiser also featured an expanded hangar, capable of carrying up to 9 TIE fighters, 3 times the capacity of the standard Arquitens-class Light Cruiser. This greatly increased its operational flexibility, allowing it to function more independently from larger Imperial fleets. In addition to standard TIE fighters, the ship could carry alternative configurations, including TIE bombers or even a Sentinel-class landing craft, providing it with a range of mission capabilities. This enhancement made the command cruiser a far more self-sufficient warship, capable of supporting its own fighter escort in extended operations. With these upgrades, the Arquitens-class command cruiser was significantly more formidable than its predecessor. It was better suited to serve as a command vessel for smaller task forces, leading Imperial fleet elements in skirmishes, and providing a highly capable escort for larger ships. Its improved weaponry, increased rate of fire, superior targeting systems, and expanded fighter complement made it a far more dangerous opponent in battle, capable of engaging both capital ships and starfighters with greater efficiency. The Arquitens-class Light Cruiser was equipped with 3 powerful Dyne 577 radial atomizer engines, which provided the vessel with a high degree of mobility compared to larger capital ships. These engines were designed to deliver a maximum acceleration of 1,800 G, giving the cruiser an impressive burst of speed that allowed it to perform hit-and-run attacks, evade larger threats, and rapidly reposition itself in battle. While this acceleration was significant for a warship of its class, it was still not enough to match the speed and agility of starfighters or smaller corvettes. However, the ship's ability to quickly reach combat speeds made it well suited for escort and patrol duties, as it could swiftly respond to emerging threats. In an atmospheric environment, the Arquitens-class Light Cruiser was capable of reaching a maximum speed of 750 kilometers per hour. This allowed it to effectively operate in planetary defense scenarios, where it could pursue enemy craft, engage ground targets from low orbit, or provide air support during planetary invasions. However, due to its size and weight, the ship was not as maneuverable in atmospheric conditions as it was in space. Its engines provided sufficient thrust to counteract gravity, allowing the vessel to hover or maintain a steady course while performing strafing runs or orbital bombardments. The engine configuration of the Arquitens-class Light Cruiser was optimized for balance between speed and maneuverability. While the vessel lacked the agility of starfighters, it was still more maneuverable than larger Imperial capital ships such as the Victory or Imperial-class star destroyers. The ship's compact design, combined with its efficient thrust vectoring system, allowed it to execute tight turns and quick course corrections, making it a difficult target for slower-moving turbolaser batteries. This maneuverability was particularly advantageous in fleet engagements, where the Arquitens could evade incoming fire and reposition itself quickly to maximize its offensive capabilities. From a technical standpoint, the Dyne 577 radial atomizer engines were highly efficient, providing a steady output of power while maintaining relatively low fuel consumption. This efficiency allowed the Arquitens-class Light Cruiser to operate for extended periods without requiring frequent refueling, making it ideal for long-term patrol missions. The engines were also equipped with an advanced cooling system that dissipated excess heat, preventing performance degradation during prolonged acceleration. However, continuous high-speed maneuvers could strain the cooling systems, requiring occasional throttling to avoid overheating. Maintenance of the Arquitens engines was relatively straightforward, as the Dyne 577 engines were designed with modular components that could be replaced or repaired with ease. This made the vessel highly reliable even during extended deployments far from Imperial supply lines. The ship's energy distribution system ensured that power was allocated efficiently between the engines, weapon systems, shields, and onboard life support. In combat situations, power could be diverted to prioritize speed, allowing the cruiser to execute rapid retreats or reposition itself for a better attack angle. The Arquitens-class command cruiser retained the same three-engine configuration but featured several enhancements that improved its overall performance. While the specific model of the engines was not always identified, they were more powerful than those found on the standard Arquitens-class Light Cruiser, providing superior acceleration and speed. This upgrade allowed the command cruiser to maintain a tactical edge in battle, ensuring that it could quickly reposition itself to issue orders, support fleet formations, or escape from overwhelming enemy forces. The command cruiser also featured an improved maneuvering system, which allowed it to respond more quickly to pilot input. This made it more agile than the standard light cruiser, further enhancing its ability to evade incoming fire and reposition itself effectively in combat. Additionally, the upgraded cooling systems ensured that the engines could operate at higher speeds for longer periods without overheating, making the ship more durable in prolonged engagements. Energy distribution aboard the command cruiser was optimized to support its expanded weaponry and additional onboard systems. The ship's power management allowed for dynamic reallocation of energy, ensuring that speed was not sacrificed even when weapons and shields were operating at maximum capacity. This made the command cruiser a highly versatile vessel, capable of adapting to different combat scenarios without experiencing significant drops in performance. From a maintenance perspective, the command cruiser's engines remained relatively easy to service, thanks to their modular design. However, due to the additional power output, they required more frequent checks to ensure optimal performance. Despite this, the Imperial Navy considered the Arquitens-class command cruiser to be a highly reliable vessel, with its upgraded engines providing the necessary speed and maneuverability to fulfill its role as a command and support ship effectively. The Arquitens-class Light Cruiser and its upgraded command cruiser variant were both equipped with a hyperdrive system that played a crucial role in their operational effectiveness, allowing them to traverse the vast distances of the galaxy at speeds far exceeding the limitations of sublight travel. This capability was essential for a ship of this class, as it functioned as a rapid response vessel, capable of engaging in fleet coordination, escort missions, and reconnaissance operations. The presence of a hyperdrive made the Arquitens-class cruisers a vital component of the Republic and later Imperial Navy, ensuring they could be deployed wherever needed across the galaxy in a matter of hours or days, rather than years or centuries. The hyperdrive aboard both variants of the Arquitens class had a primary rating of Class II, making it relatively fast by capital ship standards. This placed the Arquitens class at a significant speed advantage over many larger warships, such as the Imperial-class Star Destroyer, which typically featured a slower Class II or 2.0 plus hyperdrive. This speed allowed Arquitens-class cruisers to function effectively as fleet escorts, patrol ships, and rapid reinforcement vessels, capable of responding to threats or engaging in reconnaissance missions deep in enemy-controlled space. The Class II hyperdrive enabled the ship to quickly reposition itself in battle, escape dangerous situations, or pursue retreating enemies with greater efficiency than slower capital ships. In addition to its primary hyperdrive, the Arquitens class was equipped with a backup hyperdrive rated at Class 12. This secondary system was significantly slower and was only used in emergencies, such as when the main hyperdrive sustained damage or required extensive repairs. While Class 12 speeds would make interstellar travel considerably slower, they still provided the ship with the ability to reach safe harbor rather than being stranded in deep space. The backup hyperdrive was a critical fail-safe measure, ensuring that the ship could still return to an Imperial outpost or rendezvous point even after suffering damage in combat. The principle of operation behind the hyperdrive system followed the standard mechanics of hyperspace travel in the Star Wars universe. By harnessing hypermatter energy, the hyperdrive generator propelled the ship into an alternate dimension known as hyperspace, allowing it to bypass the relativistic constraints of real space travel. The Arquitens class utilized advanced navigational computers to calculate safe jump points, avoiding celestial bodies, gravitational anomalies, and hyperspace lanes with high traffic congestion. The ship's astrogation systems worked in tandem with Imperial navigational beacons and hyperspace relay stations, ensuring accurate course plotting and reducing the risk of accidental collisions with obstacles such as asteroid fields or black holes. Energy consumption for the hyperdrive was substantial, requiring a dedicated power allocation from the ship's main reactor. However, the energy draw was carefully managed to prevent excessive strain on other shipboard systems. During hyperspace travel, most non-essential systems, such as weaponry and non-critical subsystems, operated at reduced power to ensure maximum efficiency. While the Arquitens class was not a dedicated hyperspace scout or deep space reconnaissance vessel, like certain TIE reconnaissance craft or long-range exploration vessels, its ability to rapidly enter and exit hyperspace made it highly effective in a tactical role. From a maintenance perspective, the hyperdrive system required regular servicing to ensure optimal performance. This included hyperdrive motivator calibration, power conduit checks, and the replacement of hypermatter fuel cells when depleted. The Arquitens-class cruisers were designed with easy-access maintenance bays, allowing engineers to conduct repairs without requiring extensive dry dock servicing. Despite their robust construction, hyperdrives were still susceptible to wear and tear, and prolonged high-speed travel could degrade components over time, necessitating periodic overhauls. On a galactic scale, hyperdrive technology was the foundation of interstellar warfare. Without hyperdrive-equipped warships, military campaigns would be limited to localized star systems, with travel between sectors taking centuries. The ability to project force across vast distances enabled the Republic and later the Empire to enforce control over thousands of systems, respond to uprisings, and wage war against adversaries such as the Separatists and later the Rebel Alliance. The Arquitens class, as a medium-sized warship, exemplified the tactical mobility afforded by hyperdrive-equipped vessels. It could be dispatched for planetary blockades, fleet support, and pursuit operations, ensuring that the Empire could maintain control over even the most distant regions of space. For the Arquitens-class command cruiser, the role of its hyperdrive system was even more pronounced, as these ships often served as mobile command hubs. Their ability to rapidly traverse hyperspace allowed commanders to oversee operations across multiple star systems, coordinating fleet movements and responding to emergent threats with speed and precision. As a command vessel, the Arquitens-class command cruiser often operated at the front lines, ensuring that Imperial forces could maintain strategic oversight even in fast-moving engagements. Overall, the hyperdrive system aboard the Arquitens-class Light Cruiser and its command cruiser variant was a key component of its design, granting it the strategic and tactical flexibility needed to function as an effective escort, patrol ship, and fleet support vessel. Without this capability, the ship would be unable to fulfill its role in the larger context of galactic warfare, where the ability to strike quickly and reposition at a moment's notice often determined the outcome of battles. The Arquitens-class Light Cruiser and its more advanced command cruiser variant were designed with a compact yet heavily armed profile, intended for use as escort vessels, fleet support ships, and mobile command platforms within the Republic and later Imperial Navy. Their design balanced speed, firepower, and durability, making them versatile warships that could operate independently or as part of a larger battle group. Measuring between 230 and 325 meters in length, with a width of approximately 135 meters and a height of 56 meters, the Arquitens-class was relatively small compared to heavy Imperial warships such as the Imperial-class Star Destroyer. However, this smaller size granted it greater maneuverability and reduced operational costs, making it a practical choice for fleet operations. Despite its compact frame, the Arquitens-class was built with a durable armored hull, designed to withstand direct hits from enemy starfighters and medium-sized capital ship weapons. The hull plating consisted of reinforced Durasteel alloy, providing solid protection against kinetic and energy-based attacks. The power plant of both variants was a highly efficient reactor core designed to supply energy to the ship's weapon systems, shields, propulsion, and life support. The energy distribution systems were optimized to ensure smooth power flow between essential components, allowing for quick reallocation in combat situations. In the command cruiser variant, these systems were enhanced to support more advanced sensor arrays and communication suites, vital for its role as a fleet coordination vessel. Both versions of the Arquitens-class were equipped with deflector shield generators that provided protection against energy-based attacks and high-speed projectiles. These shields were strong enough to absorb multiple hits from turbo-laser fire, though prolonged bombardment would eventually overwhelm them. The shielding system could be reinforced in specific sectors as needed, prioritizing areas under direct attack. Additionally, corpuscular shields offered additional protection against ion weaponry, reducing the risk of complete system failure due to electrical overloads. Life support systems were fully integrated, ensuring that the ship could operate for extended periods without resupply. Environmental controls maintained habitable conditions for the crew, with temperature regulation, oxygen recycling, and atmospheric filtration systems to remove contaminants. In the event of an emergency, the ship carried escape pods, allowing crew members to evacuate safely. The Arquitens-class was outfitted with a robust suite of communication and sensor systems. Medium-range sensor arrays allowed the ship to detect enemy vessels and environmental hazards, providing situational awareness crucial for both independent operations and fleet engagements. The targeting systems ensured high accuracy for its weapons, adjusting in real time to account for enemy maneuvers. The navigation computer played a vital role in plotting hyperspace jumps and optimizing routes for long-range travel. In the command cruiser variant, these systems were more advanced, enabling precise coordination of fleet movements and long-distance communication with Imperial High Command. Lighting systems throughout the ship were designed for efficiency and functionality. Standard illumination provided visibility in all operational areas, while emergency lighting activated in case of power failure or battle damage. The interior design of the Arquitens-class followed the Imperial doctrine of practicality over comfort, with clean, utilitarian corridors and workspaces. Crew life conditions aboard the Arquitens-class were functional but austere. The ship's bridge and control stations were designed for efficiency, with well-organized layouts that allowed officers and personnel to quickly access critical systems. Crew quarters were small but sufficient, featuring bunk arrangements and basic amenities for rest. Higher-ranking officers had slightly larger accommodations, while command personnel on the Arquitens-class command cruiser benefited from more spacious briefing rooms and workstations suited for coordinating fleet operations. The cargo capacity of the Arquitens-class Light Cruiser was approximately 1,200 tons, allowing it to transport supplies, munitions, and personnel for extended missions. This capacity supported logistical operations, including fleet resupply and planetary deployments. The command cruiser, while also capable of carrying significant cargo, prioritized additional command and control systems, reducing its overall storage space compared to the standard light cruiser variant. Overall, the Arquitens-class design combined durability, agility, and firepower in a compact frame, making it an effective warship for escort missions, planetary defense, and fleet coordination. The command cruiser variant expanded upon these capabilities, incorporating advanced command and control technologies that allowed it to serve as a mobile operations center for Imperial forces. The crew composition of the Arquitens-class Light Cruiser and its command cruiser variant was structured to support their roles as versatile combat vessels within the Republic and Imperial fleets. The hierarchy aboard these ships followed standard naval protocol, with a chain of command ensuring discipline and efficiency in both peacetime operations and battle scenarios. The Arquitens-class Light Cruiser, used primarily during the Clone Wars and early Imperial era, had a standard complement of approximately 100 crew members, including officers, enlisted personnel, and pilots. It could also carry up to 100 passengers, which could include additional troops, dignitaries, or mission-specific specialists. During the Republic era, many of these vessels were manned by clone troopers, trained on Camino for naval operations. Clone officers and pilots were given specialized training in ship-to-ship combat, maneuvering tactics, and fleet coordination, ensuring their effectiveness in large-scale battles. While some positions, such as tactical officers and engineers, were filled by standard Republic personnel, clones formed the backbone of the crew. As the Galactic Empire phased out clones in favor of enlisted recruits and conscripts, the Arquitens-class Light Cruiser saw a transition in its crew composition. Non-clone personnel from various Imperial academies took over key roles, following strict regulations and training regimens enforced by the Imperial Navy. This transition sometimes led to morale issues, as early Imperial recruits lacked the rigorous genetic conditioning of clones, requiring a longer period of adjustment and discipline. The Arquitens-class command cruiser, an upgraded version introduced during the height of the Empire, had a significantly larger crew capacity with approximately 750 officers, enlisted personnel, and pilots. This increase in personnel was necessary due to the ship's expanded command and control functions, heavier armament, and enhanced operational complexity. The command cruiser retained the ability to transport 100 additional passengers, which often included stormtroopers, Imperial intelligence operatives, or high-ranking officials overseeing naval operations. The hierarchy aboard both versions of the Arquitens class followed standard naval structure. The commanding officer was typically a captain or senior commander, responsible for all operations aboard the vessel. Below them, the executive officer, XO, handled daily management, discipline, and logistical oversight. Other key positions included the chief engineer, responsible for the ship's reactor and power systems, the tactical officer, overseeing weapons and targeting, the navigation officer, who plotted hyperspace routes and real space maneuvers, and the communications officer, who handled fleet coordination and intelligence transmissions. Pilots were responsible for launching and maintaining the onboard TIE fighters, shuttles, and other auxiliary craft. These pilots were often drawn from Imperial starfighter training programs, receiving instruction on handling the unique launch and retrieval systems of the Arquitens class. Engineers and technicians worked to maintain the ship's engines, shields, and weapon systems, ensuring optimal performance during engagements. Discipline aboard the Arquitens class was strictly enforced under Imperial regulations. Standard naval conduct dictated rigid schedules, with crew members adhering to precise shifts for combat readiness, maintenance, and patrol duty. Training was continuous, with personnel engaging in simulated battle drills and technical exercises to maintain peak efficiency. The transition from a Republic to an Imperial crew also saw a shift in morale, as many early Imperial officers and enlisted soldiers came from diverse backgrounds rather than the uniform ranks of clones. While some were enthusiastic supporters of the Empire, others were conscripts who served out of obligation rather than loyalty. To assist with ship operations, astromech droids and maintenance droids were frequently employed aboard both versions of the Arquitens class. These droids handled minor repairs, diagnostic scans, and navigation calculations, reducing the burden on human crew members. Some command cruisers also carried protocol droids for diplomatic missions or intelligence gathering tasks. Standard equipment issued to crew members varied based on their role. Officers wore Imperial naval uniforms, complete with rank insignia and code cylinders. Enlisted personnel had simpler duty uniforms, often accompanied by utility belts carrying essential tools or sidearms. Security forces aboard the ship, including stormtroopers or naval guards, were armed with standard-issue blaster rifles to maintain order and repel boarding attempts. The Arquitens-class command cruiser, in particular, was used in a broader range of Imperial operations beyond direct combat. Some were assigned to the Imperial Press Corps, carrying personnel responsible for propaganda efforts. Others fell into the hands of the New Republic after the Empire's decline, serving within the New Republic Defense Fleet. In later years, remnants of the Imperial fleet, including Moff Gideon's forces, continued to use these vessels, often in a modified capacity. The Mandalorian Resistance and Mandalorian Fleet also operated captured command cruisers, repurposing them for their own military campaigns. Both versions of the Arquitens class served as crucial vessels in their respective eras, requiring well-trained and disciplined crews to operate effectively. Their versatility in battle, fleet coordination, and reconnaissance made them valuable assets, and their crew composition reflected the strategic priorities of the Republic, Empire, and later factions that utilized these warships. The development of the Arquitens-class Light Cruiser and its successor, the Command Cruiser, was undertaken by Kuat Drive Yards, the preeminent military shipbuilding corporation in the galaxy. KDY's extensive experience in designing and manufacturing warships ranging from nimble patrol vessels to colossal star destroyers ensured that the Arquitens class became a staple of both the Republic and Imperial fleets. Initially developed as a multi-role warship to support fleet operations, patrol contested sectors, and provide rapid response capabilities, the Arquitens-class Light Cruiser was introduced by at least 22 BBY as an integral part of the Republic Navy. It was designed as a bridge between the larger Venator-class Star Destroyer and the smaller Consular-class cruiser, offering a balance of firepower, speed, and endurance that made it highly effective in fleet engagements and independent missions alike. With the transition from the Republic to the Galactic Empire, the Arquitens-class Light Cruiser underwent significant modifications to enhance its combat capabilities, culminating in the Arquitens-class Command Cruiser. This improved variant was developed in response to the growing needs of the Imperial Navy, particularly for a more advanced command and coordination platform that could oversee fleet operations, provide enhanced fire support, and maintain control over planetary territories without relying on the presence of star destroyers. The Command Cruiser variant incorporated reinforced hull plating, expanded crew accommodations, and a more powerful sensor and communication suite to fulfill its role as a mobile command ship. These upgrades made it particularly valuable for regional governors, fleet admirals, and Imperial Security Bureau operatives who required a vessel capable of asserting control over rebellious star systems while maintaining a swift and adaptable profile. The construction of both versions of the Arquitens class was carried out primarily at Kuat Drive Yards, with additional production facilities established at other Imperial shipyards to meet the increasing demand. The shipbuilding process relied on a modular assembly technique where key components such as the reactor core, engine modules, and weapon systems were manufactured separately before being integrated into the final hull structure. This approach allowed KDY to produce multiple vessels simultaneously, significantly reducing the time required for assembly and deployment. The Arquitens-class cruisers were built using high-grade durasteel for their hulls, ensuring a balance between durability and weight efficiency. Advanced energy redistribution systems allowed the deflector shields to be rapidly reinforced in response to incoming fire, providing a level of survivability that exceeded expectations for a vessel of its size. Shipyard workers involved in the construction process were highly trained professionals, including engineers, droid technicians, and military overseers, all working under strict Imperial supervision. Quality control was paramount, as any deviation from design specifications could lead to severe penalties, including demotions or even execution for gross negligence. Although automated assembly droids handled much of the routine welding and component installation, the more delicate calibrations, such as reactor tuning and weapons alignment, required the expertise of organic technicians. Military personnel were often embedded within the workforce to ensure that each vessel adhered to the Imperial Navy's stringent operational standards. The economic impact of producing the Arquitens-class was substantial. The light cruiser variant was priced at approximately 4 million credits, making it an affordable yet effective addition to Republic and later Imperial fleets. This cost efficiency allowed for large-scale production, ensuring that planetary defense forces, regional governors, and naval detachments could maintain a steady supply of these vessels. The command cruiser variant, featuring enhanced systems and structural reinforcements, carried a slightly higher price tag of 5 million credits. Despite the increased cost, the added capabilities justified the expenditure, as the command cruiser served a vital role in fleet coordination and regional control. The Empire's vast economic resources allowed it to maintain production at a consistent rate, ensuring that even after the Clone Wars, a significant number of these vessels remained in active service. Throughout its operational history, the Arquitens-class proved to be an invaluable asset to both the Republic and Imperial fleets. During the Clone Wars, the light cruiser was deployed in escort and reconnaissance roles, often supporting VIII-class Star Destroyers by screening against enemy fighters and providing suppressive fire during engagements. It also played a critical role in planetary defense, patrolling hyperspace lanes and securing supply lines against separatist incursions. As the Republic transitioned into the Empire, the command cruiser variant took on new responsibilities, often serving as a mobile command center for fleet admirals and regional governors overseeing occupied worlds. Its ability to coordinate multiple starfighter squadrons and smaller escort vessels made it particularly effective in enforcing Imperial control over rebellious territories. The adaptability of the Arquitens class ensured its continued relevance long after the fall of the Empire. Several command cruisers were integrated into the new Republic Defense Fleet, repurposed for planetary security and convoy escort duties. Meanwhile, remnants of the Imperial Navy, including Moff Gideon's forces, retained several of these vessels, using them to maintain pockets of Imperial influence in the Outer Rim. The Mandalorian Resistance and other independent factions also managed to capture and retrofit Arquitens-class cruisers, recognizing their enduring value as formidable and versatile warships. Even in the face of advancing naval technologies and the introduction of larger, more powerful capital ships, the Arquitens-class maintained its place as a key component of fleet operations. Its well-balanced design, combining moderate firepower, respectable speed, and strategic versatility, solidified its legacy as one of the most effective medium-sized warships in galactic history. The continued presence of these ships in various conflicts, from the Clone Wars to the post-Endor era, attested to their reliability and adaptability, ensuring that their influence would be felt across the galaxy for decades to come. The Arquitens-class Light Cruiser was one of the first warships rushed into service with the Republic Navy at the outbreak of the Clone Wars in 22 BBY. Designed for speed and maneuverability, the Arquitens-class cruisers were intended to provide a versatile and effective support role in the Republic's growing fleet. While they were not as heavily armed as the larger VIII-class Star Destroyers, they were equipped with sufficient firepower to carry out a variety of missions, including reconnaissance, escort, and skirmish operations. One notable Arquitens-class light cruiser, the Surrogator, was assigned to Jedi General Obi-Wan Kenobi's flotilla during the Battle of Saleucami, a key engagement in the Clone Wars. At this point, the Republic was engaged in a battle against General Grievous forces, and the Jedi had a strategic plan to infiltrate and sabotage the Separatist leadership. The Surrogator was utilized as a decoy, drawing General Grievous' attention away from the true objective. Obi-Wan's strategy involved using the cruiser to lure Grievous, while a Jedi boarding party secretly attempted to rescue the captured Jedi Master Eth Koth from Grievous' flagship. However, the battle took a tragic turn when Grievous, realizing the Republic's intentions, targeted the Surrogator directly. The Separatist fleet's superior firepower engaged the light cruiser at point-blank range, and despite its agility and speed, the Surrogator was destroyed in a devastating volley. This loss represented both a tactical setback for the Republic and a demonstration of the vulnerability of even the Republic's most advanced cruisers when faced with overwhelming firepower from the Separatist fleet. The destruction of the Surrogator was a pivotal moment in the Battle of Selakami. While the Jedi were able to continue their mission, the loss of the ship underscored the high risks of war, where even the most well-constructed and carefully planned operations could be thwarted by a single miscalculation. The Arquitens-class Light Cruisers, though valuable for their versatility, often found themselves vulnerable in direct confrontations with larger capital ships, and many were sacrificed in the broader struggle of the Clone Wars. Several Arquitens-class light cruisers were deployed as part of the Republic Navy's defense during critical moments of the Clone Wars, including the defense of Kamino when it came under attack by General Grievous and Asajj Ventress. Kamino, the remote oceanic planet known for its cloning facilities, was vital to the Republic's war effort due to its production of clone troopers. When Grievous and Ventress launched a surprise assault on the planet, the Arquitens-class light cruisers, stationed within the planetary defense fleet, formed a key part of the defensive line. These cruisers, though not as formidable as the larger capital ships in the Republic fleet, were vital in maintaining the defense perimeter around the cloning facilities. Their maneuverability, speed, and relatively light armament made them suitable for swift hit-and-run tactics against the Separatist forces. Their presence in the battle alongside other Republic warships helped delay the progress of Grievous's forces, providing the Republic enough time to mobilize additional reinforcements. Later in the war, Arquitens-class light cruisers participated in another critical engagement, this time against Ventress's fleet in the Sullust system. Following her treacherous actions against the Republic, Ventress led a fleet of Separatist ships into the system, aiming to strike at the Republic's strategic positions. The Republic Navy, bolstered by several Arquitens-class ships, engaged Ventress in a series of skirmishes, demonstrating the adaptability and utility of the cruisers in a variety of combat scenarios. In both cases, the Arquitens-class cruisers were essential to the success of the Republic's defensive operations. Although they were relatively small compared to the larger ships in the fleet, their role as fast attack vessels and their versatility in combat allowed them to carry out these critical tasks effectively. Their ability to disrupt enemy formations and provide support to larger Republic ships made them valuable assets in these high-stakes engagements, even though they faced severe threats from the much stronger Separatist forces. Following a distress call from the Togruta colonists on the planet Kyros, Jedi Master Yoda quickly deployed a task force that included several Arquitens-class light cruisers, along with a Venator-class Star Destroyer to investigate the situation. Upon arriving, they discovered that the Togruta were under threat, captured and enslaved by the Separatists. The Republic Navy needed to act swiftly to prevent the forced relocation of the colonists to Kadavo, a planet notorious for its slave processing facilities. Among the ships that played a significant role in this mission was the Arquitens-class cruiser Hand of Justice, which was commanded by Admiral Barton Coburn. As the Republic forces assessed the threat on Kadavo, Hand of Justice was tasked with a critical maneuver. Coburn's cruiser positioned itself underneath the slave processing facility, a strategic move that enabled the Wolfpack, a squadron of elite clone troopers, to deploy directly onto the surface of the facility. The clone troopers engaged in a daring rescue operation, liberating the Togruta slaves and bringing them aboard Hand of Justice. Once the slaves were safe aboard the cruiser, Coburn's ship left the area with Jedi Knight Plo Koon and his squadron providing air support. Plo Koon's forces proceeded to destroy the facility, ensuring that the Separatist forces would no longer be able to use Kadavo for such operations. The Hand of Justice played a pivotal role in the success of the mission, offering a rapid response to a critical situation. The cruiser's maneuverability and ability to deploy troops efficiently made it an invaluable asset during the operation. Later in the war, the Arquitens-class saw continued use in various battles, including its participation in the Battle of Ringovinda. This late-war engagement, involving several Republic forces, saw the Arquitens-class cruisers once again playing their part as versatile combat vessels. The cruisers provided crucial support against separatist fleets, utilizing their long-range weapons and speed to disrupt enemy formations and support larger capital ships in the ongoing conflict. Their continued use in such operations underline the tactical importance of these light cruisers in the Republic Navy, showcasing their versatility from rescue missions to full-scale space battles. After the Republic's transition into the Galactic Empire, many ships that had once served in the Republic Navy were reconfigured and pressed into service within the newly formed Imperial fleet. The Republic light cruisers, including the Arquitens class, continued their service, though now under Imperial command. These ships were modified to meet the demands of the Empire's vast military machine and used to assert Imperial control over the galaxy. One notable example was the Thunder Wasp, an Imperial light cruiser that served under the command of Commander Alfred Chano. This cruiser became part of the task force led by Admiral Carlo Gendling during the pacification of Umbara. The mission on Umbara was crucial for the Empire as the planet had been a holdout for the Separatists during the Clone Wars. By this time, it had become a contested world, and the Empire was determined to subdue any remaining resistance. The Thunder Wasp played a key role in the operation, with Captain Thrawn and his aide, Ensign Eli Vanto, both aboard the cruiser during this campaign. Their expertise in tactical warfare proved invaluable, especially when the Empire needed to neutralize a Vulture droid transmission station. This station was critical for the Separatist remnants on Umbara, and taking it out would disrupt their communications and coordination efforts, leading to a decisive Imperial victory. Thanks to the leadership of Thrawn and his team, the Thunder Wasp and its task force successfully knocked out the transmission station, effectively securing Umbara for the Empire. The operation was a resounding success and underscored the importance of light cruisers like the Thunder Wasp in the Empire's ongoing campaigns. With their combination of firepower, maneuverability, and crew efficiency, these ships remained a staple of the Imperial Navy, serving as the backbone of many operations throughout the galaxy during the Empire's reign. During the Bataan Sector insurgency, Admiral Thrawn showcased his unparalleled tactical genius as he commanded a fleet of Imperial light cruisers, the Shirak, Flenser, and Tumnor, in the assault on Scrim Island, a key position held by Night Swan's forces. The mission began with Thrawn's ships attacking the island, only to encounter a hidden ion cannon emplacement that disabled the light cruisers, putting them in a vulnerable position. However, Thrawn's ingenuity quickly came to the fore. Understanding that the ion cannons had rendered his ships temporarily useless, he ordered his fleet to bombard the waters around the cannon emplacement. The intense bombardment triggered a tsunami, which flooded the base and knocked out the enemy's defenses. This tactic effectively neutralized the threat posed by the ion cannons and allowed Thrawn's forces to regain the upper hand. Not content with merely neutralizing the immediate threat, Thrawn continued to manipulate the situation to his advantage. Recognizing an opportunity to trap Night Swan's fleet, he used the disabled light cruisers as bait to lure the insurgent ships into an ambush. As expected, Night Swan's fleet bypassed the cruisers, believing them to be non-threatening due to their apparent immobility. Once the enemy ships moved into position, Thrawn activated a hidden contingency. The cruisers deployed repair barges, which, to Night Swan's surprise, were actually loaded with TIE fighters. These TIE fighters launched a swift counterattack, catching Night Swan's fleet off guard. The insurgent forces were neutralized in a well-executed trap, and Thrawn's strategic brilliance once again led to a crushing Imperial victory. This engagement demonstrated Thrawn's ability to adapt to unforeseen circumstances and turn them into opportunities. By using the light cruisers as both a decoy and a weapon, he ensured the Bataan Sector insurgency would be decisively suppressed, further solidifying his reputation as one of the most effective and cunning commanders in the Imperial Navy. Several years before the Battle of Yavin, the Imperial Navy made a strategic decision to recall the remaining Arquitens-class light cruisers still in active service. These ships, once a hallmark of the Republic Navy during the Clone Wars, were brought to the renowned Kuwait drive yards for an extensive overhaul as part of a mass refit program. The goal of this initiative was to extend the service life of these cruisers while significantly enhancing their capabilities to meet the demands of the evolving Imperial military. The process was nothing short of a complete transformation. The interior of each Arquitens-class cruiser was essentially gutted and replaced with new advanced systems that drastically improved the ship's overall performance. The refit focused on several key areas: speed, agility, combatability, and power output. The upgrades made these ships more efficient and deadly, capable of handling more intense battles and longer missions in the face of increasingly powerful threats. These modifications were designed to maximize the effectiveness of the ships within the fleet, turning them from aging Republic-era vessels into formidable tools of Imperial dominance. This generation of refits resulted in a new class of ships known as the Arquitens-class command cruisers. These refitted vessels were outfitted with superior command and control systems, allowing them to serve as flagships in battle with enhanced coordination capabilities for Imperial fleets. Their new role as command ships marked a significant shift in their function, enabling them to coordinate large-scale engagements and provide strategic oversight during conflicts. Furthermore, some of these command cruisers would undergo additional modifications as part of the Class 546 program, which took the already impressive refits to a new level of refinement. Under this program, these ships were further upgraded, becoming Class 546 cruisers with even more advanced weaponry, shielding, and internal systems designed to ensure their continued relevance and superiority in the Imperial fleet. Through these extensive upgrades and refinements, the Arquitens-class ships were revitalized and ensured that they remained a key asset to the Imperial Navy, providing a solid backbone for command operations while delivering increased combat performance. Despite the extensive refits and upgrades made to many of the Arquitens-class light cruisers during the Empire's modernization efforts, some unmodified vessels remained in service well into the Galactic Civil War. These older ships continued to play important roles within the Imperial fleet, often adapted for a variety of secondary functions. One such unmodified Arquitens-class light cruiser was used as a transport to carry credits confiscated from the Sun Tool Pride crime syndicate. In 0 ABY, the ship was hijacked in the Anthen system, a bold heist that drew the attention of the Empire. In response to the crime, Darth Vader and Inspector Thanoth utilized another light cruiser to aid in their investigation. This shows that despite their age and lack of modernization, the Arquitens-class ships remained useful and versatile, serving the Empire in a variety of tactical situations. Moreover, in the aftermath of the Battle of Hoth in 3 ABY, 3 unmodified Arquitens-class light cruisers were deployed to intercept the convoy carrying Princess Leia Organa as she fled from the rebel base. These cruisers, though not as heavily upgraded as their refitted counterparts, still posed a considerable threat to the fleeing rebel forces, illustrating that the Arquitens class maintained a significant presence in the Imperial Navy, even as newer and more powerful vessels came into service. These examples demonstrate that even as the Imperial Navy transitioned to more advanced ships, the Arquitens-class light cruisers continued to serve effectively, maintaining their place in the fleet and adapting to the shifting needs of the Empire during the course of the Galactic Civil War. Several years before 4 BBY, the Imperial Navy initiated a program to recall all remaining Arquitens-class light cruisers still in service, sending them to the Kuwait drive yards for extensive modifications. This process, known as the Service Life Extension Program, aimed to bring the aging vessels up to the standards of the modern Imperial fleet. The result of this refit was the Arquitens-class command cruiser, a significantly upgraded version of the original light cruiser. The ships were outfitted with a range of radically improved systems designed to enhance their performance on the battlefield. These improvements included advancements in speed, agility, combat capability, and power output, making the vessels much more formidable than their predecessors. These modifications allowed the command cruisers to serve more effectively within the Imperial Navy's evolving order of battle, particularly in strategic and tactical roles. Although this generation of Arquitens-class command cruisers was eventually phased out due to the passage of time and the continued advancement of newer ship designs, their service proved valuable in maintaining the Empire's naval might. They were ultimately replaced by production line command cruiser variants, which were built to a similar design philosophy, but incorporated more advanced technology and could serve well into the Imperial era. These later models played a crucial role in supporting the Imperial fleet for many years, reflecting the ongoing utility of the Arquitens class even as the galaxy's military needs evolved. Approximately 4 years before the Battle of Yavin, the Arquitens-class command cruiser known as the Telstar played a pivotal role in the Imperial campaign on the planet Lothal. Following the orders of Grand Moff Wilhuff Tarkin to destroy the planet's Imperial Communications Center, the Telstar was tasked with capturing and relaying information gathered by surface courier droids that had been brought aboard. The Telstar was a critical asset in the Imperial effort to maintain control over Lothal, and its strategic importance was tied to its ability to intercept and secure crucial intelligence. However, this mission was soon thwarted by the efforts of a group of rebels known as the Spectres. This team of Lothal-based insurgents, including prominent members such as Ezra Bridger and Sabine Wren, infiltrated the Telstar in a daring operation. Their goal was to uncover vital information about the location of Kanan Jarrus, a Jedi who had survived the destruction of the Jedi Order at the end of the Clone Wars. The Spectres successfully breached the ship's defenses, gathering intelligence and evading capture, all while placing the Telstar in jeopardy. This incident was a significant blow to the Empire's efforts on Lothal, as the rebels were able to gather enough information to locate Kanan Jarrus and continue their resistance against Imperial rule. The Telstar's capture and the rebels' actions exemplified the growing threat posed by the Rebel Alliance and their resourcefulness in striking at the Empire's most secure assets. Several Arquitens-class command cruisers were deployed in response to an attack by Phoenix Cell on an Imperial convoy. These cruisers, alongside other Imperial forces, were tasked with protecting critical shipments and maintaining order during the blockade of Ibar. During this blockade, the cruisers worked in coordination with a pair of Gozanti-class cruisers under the command of Imperial Security Bureau agent Alexandra Collis. Their primary objective was to prevent Phoenix Squadron from delivering relief supplies to the starving Ibarans, who had been suffering under the Empire's oppression. The Imperial blockade initially proved successful, as it repelled the first attempt by Phoenix Squadron to break through and deliver the supplies. However, the Rebel Alliance was not deterred. On the second attempt, the rebels were bolstered by the arrival of the prototype B-Wing fighter, which carried a beam cannon capable of piercing the shields and armor plating of the blockade's Arquitens-class command cruisers. One of these Arquitens-class ships was destroyed when the B-Wing's beam cannon struck it, rendering it incapacitated and allowing the rebel fleet to break through the blockade. This destruction enabled the Phoenix Squadron to complete their mission, delivering the relief supplies to the Ibarans and ensuring that the population received the much-needed aid. Following the successful delivery, the rebels quickly jumped into hyperspace, evading any further Imperial retaliation. This incident highlighted the growing tensions between the Empire and the Rebel Alliance, as the latter continued to find ways to outmaneuver Imperial forces and strike at the heart of the Empire's oppressive operations. It also demonstrated the effectiveness of Rebel ingenuity, particularly in utilizing newly developed technology, such as the B-Wing fighter, to counter the superior firepower of the Imperial fleet. Above the planet Gorel, an Arquitens-class command cruiser was conducting a routine patrol when it received an urgent communication about a shuttle theft from Geril City Spaceport. The cruiser was quickly deployed to investigate the situation. Upon arriving in orbit above Gorel, the Imperial crew identified the stolen shuttle docked with the Shadowcaster, a notorious ship known for its connection to rebels. Opening a channel with the vessels, the Imperials demanded that the rebels surrender and prepare for boarding. However, the Imperials were unaware that the shuttle had been taken by Sabine Wren, a Lothal rebel operative known for her expertise in explosives. Wren was working with her old friend Ketsu Anyo, a bounty hunter. The two had devised an elaborate plan to escape the Imperial cruiser's clutches. Wren, ever resourceful, decided to overload the shuttle's hyperdrive, creating a decoy scenario to buy time for their real escape plan. Wren cleverly alerted the Arquitens-class cruiser to the supposed danger to the shuttle's hyperdrive, claiming that it was on the verge of self-destructing. She used this ruse to stall the Imperials while she and her team made their preparations to escape aboard the Shadowcaster. Wren then planted explosive charges on the shuttle's control panel, reactivating the shuttle's droid pilot. She fed the droid false information, telling it that its ship was about to be attacked by the Imperial cruiser, thereby prompting it to enact emergency protocols to avoid destruction. With the explosives in place, Wren, Anyo, Chopper, and EG-86 evacuated the shuttle and boarded the Shadowcaster, leaving the Imperials none the wiser. As they made their escape, the stolen GX-1 shuttle was caught in the command cruiser's tractor beam and was pulled towards the cruiser. But before it could be captured, the shuttle exploded, as planned. The explosion severely damaged the Arquitens-class command cruiser's tractor beam projector, which allowed the Shadowcaster to break free and escape into hyperspace, evading Imperial capture. This daring maneuver not only showcased the resourcefulness of Wren and her rebel allies, but also dealt a significant blow to the Imperial forces, temporarily disabling their ability to pursue the rebels. It further exemplified the Rebel Alliance's ability to execute highly strategic missions, turning even the most dire situations into opportunities to outwit and evade the Empire's forces. 2 Arquitens-class command cruisers were assigned to escort the prototype Imperial Interdictor, a new type of warship under the command of Admiral Brom Titus, during its trial runs in the Delzenis system. The Interdictor was being tested for its ability to generate gravity wells that could prevent ships from jumping into hyperspace, a technology that had the potential to turn the tide in the Empire's favor by stopping rebel ships from escaping. During the trial runs, the Interdictor succeeded in capturing the Phoenix Rebel Cell's flagship, the Liberator, along with key members of the rebel crew, including Ezra Bridger and Jun Sato, the cell's commanding officer. For a brief moment, the Imperials believed they had achieved a decisive victory, capturing such high-value targets. However, the rebels were far from defeated. In an unexpected turn, the rebels managed to escape capture with a daring plan. Chopper, the resourceful astromech droid, sabotaged the Interdictor's gravity well generators, rendering the ship's gravity wells ineffective. With the Interdictor's gravity wells disabled, the Liberator was able to escape into hyperspace before the situation could escalate any further. In a desperate attempt to prevent the rebels' escape, Admiral Titus activated the gravity well generators once again, hoping to pull the Liberator back. However, due to Chopper's sabotage, the Arquitens-class command cruisers, which had been caught in the gravity wells field, were also pulled towards the Interdictor. The resulting collision between the command cruisers and the Interdictor caused significant damage, and the situation rapidly deteriorated. As a final blow, the Interdictor itself collapsed in on itself, imploding as a result of the damage sustained in the crash. After the Liberator successfully made its escape, Agent Colas arrived at the scene to assess the aftermath. He found Admiral Titus in an escape pod and chastised him for failing to heed his earlier advice about underestimating Ezra Bridger and the Phoenix Cell. The failure of the mission marked a significant setback for the Empire, showcasing once again the rebels' ingenuity and ability to turn the tide in their favor, even in the face of overwhelming Imperial might. Following the revelation that the rebel forces were stationed on Gorel, the entire Imperial fleet that had been stationed over Lothal was ordered to depart, leaving behind a minimal Imperial garrison to oversee the planet in case of another insurgency. Among those left behind was at least one Arquitens-class command cruiser, which was under the command of Lieutenant Yogar Leist. The command cruiser was tasked with maintaining order on Lothal and ensuring the suppression of any rebellious activity, while the rest of the fleet departed to respond to the growing threat on Gorel. At a later point, Lieutenant Leista's Imperial cruiser encountered Princess Leia Organa as she flew into Lothal with a shipment of relief supplies. The supplies were meant for Phoenix Squadron, the rebel group operating on the planet, who were in desperate need of assistance. Leia had arrived aboard her Sphyrna-class Hammerhead corvettes, intending to deliver the much-needed supplies to the rebels. Upon arriving, the Imperial cruiser initially intercepted the princess's ships. The crew, following standard protocol, checked her codes to verify her legitimacy. After confirming the authenticity of her clearance, Leia was permitted to land on Lothal and deliver the supplies. Despite the ongoing tensions between the Empire and the Rebel Alliance, Leia was allowed to carry out her mission, highlighting both the bureaucratic nature of the Imperial military and the delicate balance of power between the two factions in the midst of their ongoing conflict. Later, Agent Kallus received intelligence regarding the Spectre's activity on the planet Nixus and decided to depart with Admiral Cassius Constantine aboard his personal command cruiser to intercept the rebels. The pair arrived in the system just moments too late, as the Ghost, the rebels' flagship, had already jumped into hyperspace, narrowly escaping their pursuit. However, Kallus was not deterred. Using a hidden tracker embedded in a communicator that Hondo Ohnaka had given to Ezra Bridger, Kallus managed to track the Ghost's hyperspace jump. The pursuit took Kallus and his crew through hyperspace and into wild space, where they eventually caught up to the Rebel ship. The Ghost was headed straight for an imploded star cluster, a dangerous region of space filled with chaotic gravitational forces. Kallus hailed the Ghost, offering the Rebels a chance to surrender and turn themselves in, warning them that the powerful gravity wells of the star cluster would pull them in if they did not comply. However, the Ghost defiantly continued its course toward the cluster. In response, Kallus ordered the launch of a pair of TIE fighters to slow the Ghost down, hoping to get the ship within range of his command cruiser's tractor beam. But the Ghost's crew, under the leadership of Grazeb Aurelios, used the chaos of the star cluster to their advantage. Aurelios, wielding his bow rifle, successfully navigated the freighter through the turbulent space, even as the TIE fighters were shredded to pieces by the star cluster's intense gravitational forces. Seeing the Ghost successfully maneuver through the hazardous space made Kallus realize that brute force would not suffice. He ordered a bombardment using the command cruiser's quad laser turrets, hoping to damage the Rebels' ship. However, the gravity wells of the nearby stars proved to be a far more dangerous threat. The shots fired from the command cruiser were pulled into the star cluster's gravity wells, failing to hit the Ghost and instead causing significant damage to the command cruiser itself. Kallus watched in horror as parts of the cruiser's dorsal sections were torn away by the intense forces of the gravity wells. At that moment, he had no choice but to order the retreat, pulling the cruiser back from the star cluster to avoid further destruction, leaving the Spectres to escape once again. In 2, BBY, an Arquitens-class command cruiser, was deployed to intercept a rebel convoy near Teralov. As the convoy was approached, the cruiser launched a squadron of 3 TIE interceptors, which swiftly attacked and annihilated the convoy. The encounter was a clear victory for the Imperial forces, but it was also one of many battles in the escalating conflict between the Empire and the Rebels. Later, Grand Admiral Thrawn personally observed the ongoing Rebel activity. He witnessed Cham Syndulla and the Spectres escaping from a carefully set trap orchestrated by Captain Slavin from the bridge of his command cruiser. However, despite the Rebels managing to escape, Thrawn allowed their victory to stand. He believed the Rebels deserved their moment of success, recognizing that their strategic moves had outwitted the Imperial forces in that instance. This pragmatic view underscored Thrawn's understanding of the tactical value of studying his enemies and learning from their methods. In a subsequent operation, Admiral Constantine took command of a small fleet consisting of a single command cruiser, 2 Gozanti-class cruisers, and several TIE fighters and bombers during a skirmish over Mykopo. The battle was hard-fought, but the Empire's forces suffered significant damage when the Spectres and Iron Squadron deployed a Magno mine onto the command cruiser's forward compartment. The blast inflicted heavy damage, leaving the cruiser compromised and forcing Constantine's forces to reconsider their tactics and retreat in the face of the Rebel assault. Captain Brunson later took command of an Arquitens-class command cruiser and was tasked with hunting down the Ghost and its crew on Geonosis. During the engagement, she sent jump troopers to board and neutralize the ship. However, the Spectres proved more than a match for the jump troopers and defeated them with ease. In response, the Rebels used proton torpedoes to cause significant damage to the cruiser, allowing them to escape into hyperspace and evade capture once again. Lieutenant Yogar Leist was later stationed above Lothal and commanded another Arquitens-class command cruiser. His mission was to capture the Rebel operative Ezra Bridger, but the operation turned out to be a ruse. While List believed that Ezra's capture would be a significant victory, It was actually part of a larger plan to rescue the rogue Imperial Security Bureau, ESB agent Callus, who had defected and become a member of the rebel cell under the alias Fulcrum. The ruse succeeded, and the Spectres managed to free Callus, dealing a blow to Imperial efforts on Lothal. In a separate encounter, one Arquitens-class command cruiser attempted to capture Mon Mothma, a rogue senator and key rebel leader, but the mission was a failure. The command cruiser was badly damaged by the rebels, specifically Gold Squadron, who mounted a counterattack and forced the cruiser to retreat. During Thrawn's assault on Atallan, several command cruisers played a critical role in the operation. They were part of an Imperial effort to cut off the rebels and prevent their escape. Despite the overwhelming firepower of the Imperial forces, the Spectres managed to evade the blockade, demonstrating their ability to overcome even the most formidable Imperial forces. Soon after the rebel defeat on Atallan, the Rebel Alliance launched a daring mission to Jalindi and 1 BBY. The goal was to hijack an Imperial outpost and use it to spy on Imperial fleet movements. However, their plan was thwarted by the Arquitens-class cruiser Marauder, commanded by Admiral Titus. The cruiser intercepted the rebels and engaged them in a skirmish. Just as the situation seemed to be tipping in the Imperial favor, the Partisans arrived on the scene, turning the tide of battle. The Partisans, a group of militant rebels, successfully destroyed the outpost in a massive explosion. In the process, the Marauder was caught in the blast, resulting in its total destruction and marking a significant victory for the Rebel Alliance. A prison tug, a modified variant of the Arquitens-class command cruiser, was used to pull a Kresker jail, a wreckage prison, into battle, enabling it to deploy its convict army. The ship's initial mission took a dangerous turn when deadly spores were discovered within the prison, prompting a drastic decision to launch it toward a rebel planet. In the end, the cruiser was sent hurtling into the wreckage, sealing its fate. After the Battle of Endor in 4 ABY, Arquitens-class cruisers became increasingly rare. A significant assault on the Fondor shipyards that same year had caused a shortage of available cruisers, and they were now seldom seen in active service. However, one cruiser was still present on the Imperial world of Vardos during a skirmish there shortly after the Empire's defeat at Endor. Another Arquitens-class cruiser participated in a skirmish on Takodana in 5 ABY, but was destroyed in the ensuing battle. In the years following the Battle of Endor, one particular Class 546 model of the Arquitens-class cruiser came under the command of Moff Gideon, who led his forces aboard the cruiser as part of his military campaign. This marked a rare and notable usage of the Arquitens-class model after the Galactic Empire's defeat at Endor